this case last. So.
All right, welcome everyone to this week's Texas Roadhouse press conference. Another busy week in UTPB athletics. Men's and women's golf is currently out in El Paso at the Texas Thought Invitational. And then Thursday, men's and women's basketball will be in St. Edwards. The women tip off at 5:30, and the men's will follow against number 8 St. Ed's. Friday, softball has 2 games, one at 11 o'clock in the morning in Tucson, Arizona, as they'll take on California University of Pennsylvania. And then they will play Fort Lewis after, when baseball begins a home series against St. Ed's at 2 o'clock. Saturday, men's tennis will play New Mexico State and Abilene Christian and Abilene. Baseball plays a doubleheader starting at noon, and with the other game to follow around 2:30. Men's and women's basketball have a doubleheader against St. Mary's in San Antonio beginning at 2 o'clock. And softball plays Lindenwood and Simon Fraser in Tucson, with the game against Lindenwood scheduled for 4 p.m. and Simon Fraser scheduled for 6:30. And then Sunday, softball wraps up their trip to Tucson at 11 a.m. against Hawaii at Hilo, and baseball wraps up their series against St. Edwards at 1 o'clock. Starting off today's press conference will be men's associate head coach Zane Gibson filling in for Josh Newman, whose Falcons split last week against Oklahoma Christian and Arkansas Fort Smith.
Woo! Zane, is this your first time doing this?
My first time here doing this.
Yay!
Yes. No, first we'd just like to start off by telling Coach Newman that our thoughts and prayers with him. He's not here right now because he had a passing away in the family. He'll be back later today or in the morning, but we just obviously want to send our condolences with him and his family. After that, so
Coach, how was the, regrouping of the UA Fort Smith and all the emotions going on? Do you think that played a factor into the game?
Yeah, I think it was obviously more emotional for maybe the coaching staff than it was for the players. You know, Adam obviously played there as a freshman with myself, Coach Newman, and Coach Holland. But the rest of the guys, I think they understood it was an emotional game for Coach. But we tried not to put any of that on them. We didn't want to treat it any different than a normal game. Just wanted those guys to go out there and do their jobs. Obviously, we came up a little short, but we tried to keep the emotion as much as possible out of that game because we didn't want them playing for the wrong reasons. We always want those guys playing for the right reasons.
Still a really close game, so what do you think you guys could have done differently to get that win?
Well, you know, obviously, the Halams had a great game on us, but even despite that, if you just look at 3 critical categories of every game, free throws, offensive rebounds, and turnovers, that kind of dictated the game. And I know the kid had 42, but we had 17 turnovers. They destroyed us on the offensive glass. I think we only had 6, and they had 17 of those. And then they outshot us by about 12 at the free throw line. If we just balance any of those 3 stats back out, I think the outcome's different regardless of how many points he scores.
And I think the turnovers kind of is because y'all don't have that second point guard other than Pat that y'all can trust in. Do y'all think any time in the season y'all can find that guy, whether it's Mendez or Elvin or anybody?
Well, you know, obviously we thought Isaac Hernandez was doing a really good job for us. Maybe as long as 4 or 5 games ago when he got hurt, he had really picked up that second ball handler's responsibilities. I think his assist-to-turnover ratio is 3 or 4 to 1 right now. And then he got hurt, and you're right, a lot of the responsibilities have been put back on Pat. Hopefully Isaac gets back here in the next week or 2. But right now, you're right, we are searching for that secondary ball handler because it's a heavy load to play as many minutes as Pat's playing right now and have the ball in his hand constantly. It's a toll. It takes a toll on him. Now, obviously, he knows he's got to make some better decisions in some points of the game. But right now, we are searching for that secondary guy to kind of take the ball in his hands just a little bit throughout the game.
You guys have a pretty long road trip coming up. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, you know, obviously, just the location of where we're at, most of our road trips tend to be 4 or 5 hours, and that's what this will be coming up. This one obviously gets extended a little longer because we're going to play the Division I game on Tuesday. I think our guys are pretty well equipped of getting on the road and understanding the routine of getting in the bus and going on those trips. So we're just looking forward to getting down there and playing some road games. That if we play it how we're supposed to play, we'll have an opportunity in both games to win.
Does it take a toll being on the road that long?
Yeah, but everybody in the league has to go through it. You know, it's not one of those things where we have an unbalanced schedule where certain teams don't play. I would tell you that coming and playing here in Silver City is one of the roughest road trips for anybody. And we don't obviously have to go through that because we're right next to Western New Mexico, so we're the closest. But anybody coming from the East Texas area or even where Fort Smith and Oklahoma Christians came from, they're going to have to travel a lot further to get to those games. So league play always balances out. I really believe that. We're going to have some rougher, longer trips. Other teams will have rougher, longer trips. It's really just who's going to be consistently playing at the highest level on any given night to give themselves a chance to win.
Coach St. Ed's ranked in number 8 in the country before you guys play them here. What is it they do well? What challenges do they present?
Their 1 through 5, their starting 5 is about as good as I've seen in the last 3 or 4 years. They've got, I think, 4 Division I transfers that start for them and the Division II transfer that starts for them. They're really good because they really share the ball. Coach Cook is a phenomenal coach. He runs, I tease him every once in a while. I feel like he should have a football play sheet over there. He literally scripts the first 10 plays of every game. And what he's doing is he's trying to figure out how you're guarding certain coverages, whether it be a flat ball screen, a side ball screen, what are you going to do on actions in the paint. He tries to figure you out almost like a football coach, and then for the remainder of the game, he kind of plots out what he's going to do to you. So obviously as much stuff as they run makes them difficult. They have a very high talent level, and then they really, really share the ball. Haas, their point guard, who's their 4th or 5th leading scorer right now, I would tell you is their best player because he really distributes the ball. He gets everybody involved. He can break you down and I manipulate the defense so well that it really makes it hard to try to take certain things away because he can move you with his eyes. And I think that's part of the reason why they're such a good team. And then they're really solid defensively. They don't give you up anything easy, and they clean up the glass. They don't let you get extra possessions out.
All right, thank you, Coach.
Thank you, guys.
Great job.
He's an
Next up,
athlete.
women's basketball coach Ray Boothe, whose Falcons also finished 1-1 last week.
Coach, can you just kind of talk about the last, few minutes of the game on Saturday and maybe what your team could have done differently just to get over that hump? Because I know you came within 5 at one point.
Yeah, I think we just decided to play a lot harder when it started to slip away from us in probably mid-4th quarter. We changed our defense, but ultimately we had a foul. They knocked down some free throws. So I hope that if we had more time in that game, we would have been able to rally. I think we showed a lot of fight in the last few minutes. But to go out to the start that we did, which was 12-0, 12-2, we haven't had that kind of lead, that kind of start. I think we got very comfortable, especially in the second quarter when they made a really big run. And then we were just pretty rattled by their press after that, and maybe some inexperience with that hurt us. But it's a game that we feel like we had a great opportunity at home, and it didn't go our way. We played incredibly well against Oklahoma Christian. That game I thought was, from start to finish, pretty solid.
And we talked about those last few minutes in that last game. With 3 minutes to go, you took out Rory, Alexis, and Holly, and that second group kind of came in and put pressure on defense, got turnovers, got to the foul line. What put into your mind to make that decision so late in the game?
We needed to get stops. So we went from, extended half-court defense to we needed to have a full court. So we put in, maybe players that were not in foul trouble and had a higher motor and fresh legs, just to really try to get after it. And they came in and brought great energy. I don't think we can sustain that for 40 minutes, but we needed to change something and give ourselves an opportunity. And I think they did. They came back. I wish I would have done it earlier.
Coach, as we get into this home stretch here, you guys are sitting the 13 spot, it looks like, just, on the outside looking in of that top 12. What do you guys need to do to get back into that top 12?
Well, 10, we broke this down earlier today. 10 through 16 is kind of the boat right now. There's a lot of tie-breaking options where the 2 in front of us, we win the tiebreaker. Actually tied with number 12, they just haven't played as many games as us yet. And then below us, the teams that are 1 game back, we lose the tiebreaker. So we're at the point in the year now, it's crucial. Every game is important. It has to be a big week for us. If we were to finish right now, and Western State had played all the games that are told, we would win that tiebreaker. To be in is great, but we also want to give ourselves the best opportunity possible. So right now it's huge that we go to St. Ed's and and we are as prepared as we possibly can.
What are the things you'd like to see your team execute better as you go into these two games that you really kind of need?
Well, game plan, definitely execution, but one area that if you were there Saturday, you could see we were very poor against the press. I think that's where we were rattled. And so we're going to see a little bit of that this week. That's got to be our strength. I think early in the year when we made that a focus, we were pretty good at it. And then we slipped away and didn't get as many reps maybe in practice. So we're going to get back to that just to make sure we are solid in the full court game because we want to play that way. So we need to be great, just efficiency, you know, win the turnover battle, win the board battle. If we do that and we shoot a decent percentage, we should hopefully come out on top. And of course we want to cause chaos on defense every game.
What's St. Edward's looking like?
You know, similar to us in terms of record and who they've beaten and who we've beaten and who they've lost to. But they have a very good grad transfer that's averaging 22 points a game in the Lone Star Conference. She did not play in their last game. But with her, they're a different team, and without her, they're very, very good shooters. So we need to have two game plans, one for if she is playing and one if she's not, both of which I think will be very competitive.
Oh, this past week, Morgan signed her letter of intent to come here.
She did.
What did you see out of her to bring her on the squad?
Oh, well, we're fortunate to have her. You know, there's a couple schools in the Lone Star Conference trying to get her. So she just is a 6'1" long player, very similar to Alexis Quadwin, with maybe a little bit more versatility on the perimeter and maybe not the shot blocking capability that she has, which she's pretty special in that regard. But yeah, she's a complete all-around player and just a great student too. So we're excited to have her for 4 years here. We actually just got another commitment last night, so from another player, of course I can't reveal the name. So we're pretty excited about the future, but right now we know how big this week is for us if we have hopes to make the Lone Star Conference tournament.
You mentioned you guys like to cause some chaos on defense. You guys force a lot of turnovers. How are you able to do that?
Well, I think we're fortunate to bring in people that care about that part of the game a lot. So, you know, we're big on defense, we're big on steals and turnovers and just causing chaos, and we're smaller. So we need to truly outplay teams because of our size and maybe just lack of physicality around the rim. So we really want to prevent the ball from getting there. So we try to do everything we can to take it before it happens, or at least to cause somebody to make a poor pass, or a pass that they normally want to make, or to speed up a shot to decrease their field goal percentage. We work on it every day.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
All right, next we'll have head softball coach Tiala Tagloa, whose Falcons picked up 2 wins on Sunday and had 3 total this weekend in Lubbock.
How are you?
Good.
Hi, Jay. Coach, yesterday you got 2 big wins on the road, so what did it feel like to cap off the weekend with those 2?
Honestly, it was awesome, I'm not gonna lie. The reason why I say that is because we kind of we're young, and so we're struggling trying to kind of find our identity. And I think that the whole purpose of our pre-conference is to battle test them. I think that we got pushed a little bit on Saturday against Chattering. We didn't really respond really well, so Coach and I had a conversation with him after the game, and just about, you know, bowing up and really, when times get tough, really just hammering down and just gritting it out. And I think that they definitely did that, obviously against Newman, but really it was against Southern Nazarene for sure. The games get super intense, and you know, they were kind of talking a little bit, we were talking a little bit, it was going back and forth, there was tons of energy. And we've done that in the past, but it's only lasted like 3 or 4 innings, and yesterday it lasted all 7. So just to see that from first pitch to last pitch was a great thing, and I'm just looking forward to continuing through the rest of our pre-conference and then into the Lone Star.
In those last 2 games, April had 4 hits. How do you feel like she was able to lead that team and kind of get the batting going in those final 2 games of the weekend?
Honestly, April is super talented. She's kind of just battled a little bit with confidence, and I think for her to step up as a junior was huge in those crucial situations for sure. When we had runners on, and then also when we just needed a spark to get us a runner to start the inning. So they were huge in those moments, and I think that if we can continue to just step up to and rise to the occasion, I think that great things are going to happen for sure.
Really, the whole team offensively seems to be, ahead of where they were last year. What have you seen them improve, or what is the difference as far as you've seen?
I think the biggest difference is they're really buying in. I feel like they're super invested, and we talk about it all the time, whether it's the pitchers in the bullpen or the hitters in the cages, is just trying to have purposeful work. And no matter if it's just off the tees, if it's front toss, or off the machine, that every swing counts. And I think that we're trying to build an at-bat bank so that when we go into games that we're ready. And I don't want the hardest thing that they face to be in practice. And I want them to be able to, in games, I want them to be ready. Practice, we battle test them, put them in the gauntlet, hopefully that they're ready come every time they step in the box during a game. So that's really been a main mission for the hitters as well as the pitchers, to just really get in there and just fight and just grit it out.
A lot of teams on the road, they take that opportunity to kind of gel and get to know each other and get real close with each other. Can you see that out of your team with this long stretch of being on the road to start the season?
It's like a full month. Yeah, absolutely. I think they, like yesterday, we had extra time before the Newman game. Newman was actually playing at a different field, and they had to come over to where we were to play us for their second game. And I said, hey, we don't have to rush through warm-ups. We have plenty of time. And so they're actually out in the outfield, modified football, where one was a quarterback and they're throwing a softball, and they're throwing Hail Marys towards center field. And so they're probably the funniest people they know. But I think that it's awesome to see because they're really coming together, and it's across the board. It's there's not really cliques, and that's just a great thing because, any coach will tell you that you're going to have kids that you might normally just get along with a little bit better, other players or teammates, and they're just collectively across the board just really enjoy each other. So I think they have fun together, and I think that's a big thing. And obviously, when we're winning, everything's fun. And so yesterday, game 2 was outstanding across the board. They'd had fun. They were, loud. They were obnoxious probably to the other team, but I'm here for it every day because the outcome, I'm there for it for sure.
Kind of piggybacking off of that, obviously you get to build relationships on these road trips, but is it tough, I guess, just having all of these games crammed into these first few weekends of the season?
Yeah, it's probably, I think they probably think I'm insane for doing that, but the Lone Star Conference is just brutal, and it's tough to just be on the road consistently, weekend for 4 weekends straight, but historically we've done really well at home and awful on the road. And so we've got to be able to go into whatever place, doesn't matter if it's Conroe or if it's Lubbock or if it's Tucson, and act like it's our own field. You know what I mean? It's just another field, 60 feet, and then there's a base, and then you turn left, there's another base. It's the same, So the rest of it is really immaterial, and I think if we can get over that and just realize that, find comfort in, within ourselves instead of where we're playing, I think that's going to mean a lot towards the end.
Cool. Thank you, Coach.
Thanks, Coach.
Absolutely.
And we will close out today with head baseball coach Brian Reinke, who is about to return home for a 4-game series against St. Ed's.
Coach, last week when we talked, you discussed how your pitchers kind of looked like they were hoping to throw strikes instead of expecting to throw strikes. Was that much of the same again this weekend?
Yeah, it was, and it wasn't the same pitchers. There were a few new ones in there, but it was still sort of that. Not being able to play the non-conference stuff to put them in situations, obviously has affected us the first 2 weekends. I think we have a better grasp now. And able to formulate a better plan going forward this weekend. We'll switch some things around and then we'll move on from
That being said, what were some of your main takeaways from this series against Tarleton?
That Tarleton was much improved over what they were last year. And that our offense, I think, has a chance to stack up against pretty much everybody's. I mean, there's times where we were sort of buried on the scoreboard and our offense didn't quit, and kept doing things that we expect them to do. I mean, we obviously we had a lot of extra base hits this weekend, which is vitally important to know that we can hit in those situations. And we had a lot of big hits. I mean, home runs to tie the game, home runs to go ahead in the game. I mean, a lot of stuff like that. So offensively, while not perfect, it was definitely much better than last weekend.
Coach, Tarleton is a top 25 team, like you said. They seem much improved, but you guys were up in the 7th inning on Sunday. Is that encouraging to see, and what does that kind of tell you about your team?
I mean, I always like to be ahead late in the game, but there were a couple factors. We messed up a bunt coverage, and that's on us. We have to be better as coaches, making sure that's better. And we need to find the right pieces for the end of the game when we are ahead to make sure somebody comes in and slams the door shut.
All right. Thank you, Coach.
Thank
You bet.
Thanks, everybody.